$1,000
Bag
on the line.
way.
Here's Davis. Is that
Goes to Logo Davis. Logo Davis! Insomniacs, the A7 NFL champions! That's right. We start off with the Insomniacs. They will start week 1 by taking on the Force in a big playoff showdown. That's a playoff caliber match. In week 2, they take on the Hunters. Week 3, they continue their tour of the bottom tiers. They take on the Pit Bosses. In week 4, they take on the Kryptonite. OTT in week 5, and then in week 6, round 4, it's the Sick With It and the Insomniacs. And the Insomniacs end the season against the Gold. We go over to the Sick With It real quick. Pit Bosses in week 1, OTT in week 2, Force in week 3, Hunters in week 4, Gold, Insomniacs, and then they round it out against the Kryptonite, the top 2 teams in the A7FL. Starting off differently, and I think ending a little differently here, guys, as you see the other games going up on the screen right now, but we'll go through the other teams really quickly. Force will start off against the Insomniacs, as we said. They'll go up against the Gold. Then they'll take on Sick With It, OTT, the Kryptonite, Pit Bosses, and the Hunters. The Kryptonite will take on the Hunters, Pit Bosses, Gold, Insomniacs, Force, OTT, and Sick With It, as OTT will take on the Gold, Sick With It, the Hunters, Force, Insomniacs, Kryptonite, and the Pit Bosses. The Hunters look to bring fear and loathing against the Kryptonite in week 1. In week 2 against the Insomniacs, they go up against the OTT, Sick With It, Pit Bosses, Gold, and Force. And then for the Gold, it's the OTT, Force, then Kryptonite. And then they have the Pit Bosses, Sick With It, Hunters, and Insomniacs. That's actually a really good schedule because they really get good, really upper tier games every other game or every other 2 games. So it's not like they're running into a wall in back-to-back weeks. And we round out Nevada with the Pit Bosses. They open up against Sick With It. They go up against the Kryptonite, then the Insomniacs. Then they take on the Gold, Hunters, Force, and then end the season against the OTT. The Gold schedule stands out to me as one, guys, that might be beneficial for them in the long run. But outside of the Insomniacs, Sick With It, and Force, I can't really see a lot of teams walking out of here anywhere beyond 5-2 or maybe 4-3.
Well, I think the interesting thing will be is who are these teams, right? Because when we look at the Alienators in the fall, and shout outs to the guys over in Vegas putting on a great fall, a lot of great things to watch. Check out Dante Moncrief. And also, if you've missed it because this is Friday, go back in time and check me out on the other side of the ball, or any Wednesday, wherever podcasts aren't sold. But what the fall is doing is the Alienators, they're probably going to end up being the Pit Bosses. The Alliance seem like they're likely going to be mostly Force guys. We don't know where the Outlaw guys are going to end up because they don't
Can put up as much money you
be a spring A7 team as specifically currently constituted as Outlaws. So they might end up in, let's say, maybe as the Gold because they're the only other fall team that's not existent. So let's just say that the Outlaws, the 3rd best team in the fall, end up being the Gold. That means that Gold Insomniacs game week 7 might be, have a little bit more juice to it. The Pit Bosses. Well, the Pit Bosses, as the Alienators, they look to be a little bit more competent. That means that the Pit Bosses Force game might change the way that figures out. But I am excited to see.
Vegas is never going to like you. Yeah, Vegas is never going to like you, Corey. You could say all this nice shit. It's not going to matter. All I heard after everything Matt said was week 6, Insomniacs versus Sick With It. There's literally nothing.
I also want to see Sick Force because what we're being promised is that De'Aaron Fox has gotten it together. Now, I haven't seen it.
And I don't care until he beats Sick. If he beats Sick, then we'll talk about him. Other than that, it sounds
he gets a shot week 1 to do what Sick has never been able to do is play a close game against the Insomniacs. That's not true. That's not true. Week 1 last year, Sick was close.
Here's a question that I have for you guys for the players that are not on the top 3 teams heading into spring. If you take a look at the Gold schedule, are you like, fuck, that might be the most advantageous for us? Because we know the OTT and the Pit Bosses are going to be similar to what they are in fall. We know the same for the Hunters. Like, is this an opportunity for for a quote-unquote fourth team to
I
rise
don't
up
mind-
and build off of that roster.
Well, but I don't mind looking at the way that their schedule's structured and saying that could be advantageous. But all these teams have to play all these teams. So I don't think you can look at it and say that this is what matters. What I think, what's going to matter is that what is the roster and how is it constituted a lot more than guys choosing to go to that roster. And what I want to see from Vegas is similar to what we saw from, not what BIC did with combining the 3 and the 2 in our list, but what we saw at the 5 and 6 on our quarterback list is now those guys are going to get their own rosters that they control and they're the main quarterback for. I want to see a little bit more of that in the Vegas division, because if we get a lot of good quarterback play out there, and there are enough, we could lift 5 guys off our name that are capable, right? And then there's a 6th guy that's promised to us, and all I can do is intercept things and be a kicker for the Insomniacs. But the guy that stands out, the 2 guys that stand out for me are Trey Robinson and Darnell Richardson.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not one of the top 3 teams, those are the 2 guys at the quarterback position that if you get on your roster, maybe they can make a difference. Now, Rob is going to groan, and that's fair.
No, I'm going to laugh. I'm not going to groan. I'm just going to laugh.
We saw Trey be a really great quarterback in that fall.
I didn't laugh at Trey.
Oh.
I laughed at Darnell because prior to, last season when they had the fall and everybody was hot. Remember, we had a great debate about Darnell being this phenomenal quarterback.
You picked K Uno to be clear, by the way, because you were trolling. But anyway.
But here's another thing to throw into the works before we move on, and we'll run through LA real quick after this. There are 6 playoff spots in Nevada. There are 6 playoff spots in the Northeast.
That's a lot. 6 in the Northeast as well?
Yeah.
Damn.
Because that counts for the DMV too.
Mm.
So that accounts for everybody up here on the top right side of the country.
We know 1, 2, and 3.
And to be clear, I think Ohio and Florida, you guys still only get 1.
They get a wild card representative who's decided between the 3 seed and the 2 seed. For the Midwest, it's 4 versus 1, 3 versus 2, and then they have the Midwest champion. That would lead to the
come
elite.
Correct.
Yeah.
And then maybe you get 6, like Vegas and the Northeast. Anyway.
But we move on now to Los Angeles, and we'll go through LA real quick. Listed on the schedule this year for 3 teams: the Regulators, the Bounty Hunters, and the Aces. The Aces will play the Regulators in Week 1, the Bounty Hunters in Week 2, then come back in Week 5, and then they reverse it. Bounty Hunters and then the Regulators. For the Regulators, it's Aces in Week 1, Bounty Hunters in Week 3, Aces in Week 6, Bounty Hunters in Week 7. The Bounty Hunters play the Aces and Regulators in Week 2 and 3, and then in Week 5 and 7, the Aces and the Regulators as same verse as the first verse.
Matt, you're such a nice guy. I love you for it. Because I lied to you. You would have gave me that read. I've been like, oh, it's 3 teams. These motherfuckers play each other. That's that. Doesn't matter when.
Both work.
Where.
Both work. So if you like the way that Matt did it better, then listen to that. Rob just said these 3 teams, they play the trust. We move it on. What's Ohio's schedule?
All right, let's go through a team that got 1 game away from being the first non-Northeast division to play in an A7 NFL championship. It's time to take a look at what's going on in the Midwest and Ohio.
Boo. Oh, my fault. I sneezed.
Rob's booing his teammates because he just took a break from 2K. He took a break. His players on the bench right now at 2K, and the rest of the players that are on the lead, they're blowing the lead that he built with his my player. Come on, MP.
I hate how accurate that is. But we start off with the Western Conference semifinalists, the Sin City Chaos. They fired a coach or 2, and they start their season off against the QC Crush in Week 1. In Week 2, they go up against the Guard Dogs, one of the new teams coming out of Columbus. They get a bye in Week 3. Then they take on the Covington Heist, who you can consider the 4th best team in the Midwest, the 2nd best team in the Midwest, in my opinion, in Week 4. Right. Then they take on the new Columbus Explorers in Week 5. And then Week 6, they take on the Indianapolis Octane, playing their first season in the A7FL, and then they round them out with our favorite team, the Olentangy Volcanoes. For the Covington Heist, it's the Octane in Week 1, the Crush in Week 2, the Explorers in Week 3, and then it's the Chaos, Guard Dogs, and Volcanoes, and then they wrap it up in Week 7 with a nice bye. The Crush, they have a bit of a tough schedule in Week 1 and 2 because they have the Chaos, then the Heist, but things may level out a little bit as they take on the Octane, then the Volcanoes, then they get a Week 5 bye, and then they play against the two new teams from Columbus, the Guard Dogs and Explorers, to close out their season.
Let me just say that's doing the Crush dirty because the two new teams, they get weeks to get it together, and then they pay the Crush. So
well, it's the Volcanoes too. Let's take a look at their schedule. They get a bye in Week 1, then they have the Explorers, the Guard Dogs, the Crush, the Octane, but then they end their season back to back. Like they could start their season maybe 2-3, 2-2, maybe 3-1.
That's tough.
And then they have to play the Heist and the Chaos in back-to-back weeks, and there are only 4 spots to move on in the Midwest.
Volcanoes could be going into that matchup like one of those MAC, the MAC conference teams, where they're undefeated, their point differential's crazy, and they're like, oh, we're so good.
You're Loyola.
Yeah. Who's the first team they play? They play Chaos or Heist?
They play the Heist, then the Chaos.
Right, so then they go into the Heist, and then they lose, but it's a close game, and they're like, but we got this. We're coming for the Chaos. And then the Chaos absolutely boat race them. So it'll be their story could be what the Sin City Chaos story was last year.
And let's take a look at the Octane. They start Week 1 against the Covington Heist. That is a rough welcome to the A7FL.
Yeah, that is tough. That's tough. That's not even fair.
But then they get a bye in Week 2.
They get to recover.
In Week 3, they get a bit of a challenge in the Crush. So in their first 2 games, they're playing against established teams. So that is a rough welcome to the team from the city of Indianapolis. But then they have the Explorers, the Volcanoes, then the Chaos, and then they walk out against the Guard Dogs. I can see them picking up 2 to 3 wins. Like I'm
excited to see what Indianapolis has to do. And shout outs to the Ohio, we'll call them the Midwest Division, because they're growing, and that's what we love to see as A7FL people, for sure.
And we take a look at the Guard Dogs, one of the new teams coming out of Columbus. They start off against the Explorers, then they get the Chaos in Week 2, the Volcanoes in Week 3, then a bye, and then they have to run a bit of a gauntlet. It's the Heist, then the Crush, and then they end the season against the Octane. Our final team, the Explorers, crash into Columbus against the Guard Dogs in Week 1, the Volcanoes in Week 2, then it's the Heist, the Octane, then the Chaos, then a bye, and then end the season against the Crush. If you're any team right now, you really wish that you had the Volcano schedule, because weeks 1 through 3, you get the bye out of the way, then you play the 2 new teams, then you have the Crush, the Octane, but you have that Heist and Chaos back-to-back, which is tough. But do you want to start your season against those 2 teams, or do you want to end your season against those 2 teams? Like, what's more advantageous, to beat the Crush or the Volcanoes in this situation?
Sounds like
I'd rather start.
My bad, I was going to make a joke. Sounds like the Santa Monica vibe to me. Remember when they came up in the league and they were 3-0 and they were the faces of the league with the pants of the league as well? Yeah, how'd that go?
Terrible. But I'd rather start tough. Starting tough gives you an advantage. It gives you an opportunity to feel what the competition is, and you won't go in there with a false sense of security, as if you know what the best have done already. So if you start tough, you'll probably end up better than a team that started soft and
That's fair.
If you look at the Renegades last year, Week 1 they gave BIC a run for their money, and they could have shocked the world with that win if they were able to get it. So maybe you catch, a team early, that's better. But also you look at the way they started the Week 2 after playing BIC and losing a tight game. They lost to the Animals in a tight game, and then all of a sudden they're 0-2. They're at the bottom of the division looking up like, geez, guys, a lot of work to do. And they did eventually climb back in it, but
Right.
that is
And that's kind of
starting
what you
with
look
two
for, that
tough games.
eventual. That
There's
eventual
two ways
climb
you
back.
could go. Yeah.
But that eventual climb back, like I don't like when people say they look at the schedule and don't know who's going to win or lose. The 2 years I won the chip, I knew how many games we were going to win and we were going to lose. I already, and that's because you have to be realistic. You can look at the schedule and say, this is a toss up. Even if I feel like I'm better, are we better? They're going to get the best of us that day? Whatever the situation is. So starting off 0-2 isn't necessarily the worst thing if you know those were your two toughest games. You
Yes,
got
but
the hard guys out
sometimes
there.
a young locker room, like guys that are new to either to the league or to that team, starting off 0-2 is a tough place to start because sometimes people are starting to fade away or diverge
Yeah,
from
and
what the
those
plan
people,
is. So that's really
shouldn't
that
play
make or
football.
break time. Yeah, that's true too. But anyway,
Yeah, those people shouldn't be playing football. I'm not gonna lie.
And the defending Eastern Conference champions start their season against the O-Town Orange in Week 1. They take on the Ghosts in Week 2. In Week 3, they go up against the A-Team, and, well, first verse, same as the second verse, as they will be the Orange Ghost and A-Team playing them again in Weeks 3 and 5, 6, and 7. Nightcrawlers, the Orange play the Nightcrawlers in Weeks 1 and 5. They play the A-Teams in Week 2 and 6, and the Ghosts in Week 3 and Week 7. For the Ghosts, they start off against the A-Team in Week 1, the Nightcrawlers in Week 2, the Orange in Week 3, Week 5, 6, and 7, A-Team, Nightcrawlers, and Orange. And finally, for the returning Tampa A-Team, it's the Ghosts, the Orange, the Nightcrawlers, then the Ghosts, the Orange, and the Nightcrawlers. It's the Nightcrawlers' division to lose. I don't see them in a situation to where they will lose the Florida division.
is
They
it?
won't. No, they won't lose it. They won't lose it. I can guarantee they won't lose it.
Well, what I'm
I can
saying
almost
is that the news that we kind of broke today, I think it could be something that changes at least the perception of those teams going in on what their chances are. And
But
honestly,
that's dangerous.
I wouldn't be surprised if there's a team that, plays the Nightcrawlers head to head, and it's either a tight game or the Nightcrawlers get an L somewhere or here and there.
Stop
Look,
disrespecting Logo Davis, bro. Please stop.
Uh,
Disrespecting
right?
Logo Davis. Stop. We gotta.
Yeah, but we were
Davis,
talking. But there's
Logo
also
Davis
guys on that roster that I don't think we mentioned enough, like Tyree McCants, who's a former UCF, big time D1 collegiate football star. Actually, is it UCF or USF? I think it's UCF. But anyway, Google it and you'll see his highlights. They're crazy. Plus, he's a really great player in our league. And then I think BMA Keys kind of gets lost, and Rico Brown, who had what, like 275 yards receiving. They definitely have the talent. I'm not saying that, but do those guys, do Mark Bagway's guys, because that's what we've heard all this time about the Nightcrawlers, right? Because Mark Bagway's guys showed up. All of a sudden, they were the best team in the A7FL Florida, maybe, one of the best teams in the league as soon as guys showed up. If Mark Bagway's not there, are those guys? We'll see. That's Florida.
Well, I mean, you're right. You got a point. Why not, right?
Look, if it goes the way that it went, then it is what it is.
Right.
I said something that sounds fun. Let's talk about the actual schedule, though. I want to see who I'm playing. Let's go.
We started with the champs, schedule. And we end with the division that started it all in Season 10. And we start things off with the defending Northeast champions, the Baltimore Watchmen. They start things off really tough, really quickly, as it is Buck versus Huff in Week 1. The Watchmen will play the U, and that one will be our 4 o'clock game on Games of the Week. That is one of our first games of the week. The other one's another one that we'll be getting to you in a minute. Then in week...
Baltimore can't get away from the U, can they?
No, they cannot. Week 2...
Specifically the rare breed, they can't.
No.
And now they're the Watchmen, but we know. If you know, you know.
In week 2, the Buzz will take on the Watchmen for the first of 2 times this season. Then the new team in the Northeast...
Buck.
It's Ace versus Buck. That one's going to be one hell of a game. And in week 3, the Nova Charge, representing Northern Virginia. Charles Sharp Jr. running that team. You might know him as the viral Rastaman Flash. when LJ, Corey, and Rob were calling the action last season when I was off 1 week. But the Charge will play them in week 3. Then it's the BIC and the Watchmen in week 4. That one's going to be bonkers. Then you have the Charge in week 5, the Buzz in week 6, and then they round everything out against the Animals in week 7. Let's go through the rest of the DMV. The Buzz will start things off against the Charge, and then against the Watchmen in week 2. The Snow Tribe in week 3. They take on the Nova Charge in week 4. Buzz versus you, Huff versus Ace in week number 5. Then the second matchup against the Watchmen in week 6. And in week 7, the Nova Charge. And speaking of the Charge, they open things up against the Buzz in week 2. It's against the Snow Tribe. In week 3 against the Watchmen. Week 4 against the Buzz. Week 5 against the Watchmen one more time. And then they round things out against the Renegades in week 6. And then the DC Buzz in week 7. And let's get it out of the way. For our quarterback, let's talk about the East Orange Renegades. They start things off against the Snow Tribe for the first of 3 meetings in the regular season.
3 meetings?
Wow.
Oh, that's disgusting.
In week 2, it'll be the Renegades against the BIC, the Renegades against the Animals.
Tough.
In week 4, Renegades against the U, against the Snow Tribe in week 5, the Charge in week 6, and then rounding things out against the Snow Tribe in week 7.
Ew, that's ugly.
Hey.
And with 6 spots in the
Work starts
Northeast,
now.
that Renegade schedule is a little playoff friendly if you don't.
Yeah,
All right,
if they
nah,
can,
I'm not
if they
doing
beat
that.
the Snow,
I'm not
no,
doing that.
if
Corey,
you don't have to do it. I'm gonna.
earmuffs, Corey.
I'm a-
Earmuffs.
Earmuffs. If the Renegades can get past the Snow Tribe 3 times, they're 500.
If they get
lose
2
every
out
other
of
game.
3, like if they beat the Charge and they take 2 out of 3 against the against the Snow Tribe, and they defeat the Animals, that
and
puts them in the run.
Yeah, bro, they won 4 games in
Like,
what is it, a 6-game schedule?
Yeah, and like right there,
Oh,
I think
that's
it's going to
4-2,
be.
bro. That's nuts.
I think the Buzz and the Renegades are going to be fighting for that 5-6 seed alongside the Snow Tribe. Like the Watchmen,
That's kind of wild.
like that's going to be a 3-team race, and I think it's going to end up falling Buzz, Renegade, Snow Tribe. I think that's how it might fall out.
They're gonna tag us so crazy.
But let's
about
go
this.
through the
This is
Snow.
gonna be
Well,
nuts.
we're saying the Snow Tribe's
You
going to make
guys-
the
you guys
playoffs
done?
for the
You
third
guys
straight
done?
year. Yeah, we're done.
You guys
We're
done?
done. We're done.
Yeah,
Okay,
we're
so
done.
as here, you guys know me as the personality, media personality, Cory Hammond, quarterback. Listen, guys, schedule doesn't matter. Every week, you got to give your best against your opponent because they're going to come out and give you their best. So we're focused right now on week 1. We'll get to week 2 when we get to it. But right now, focus is on week 1. But it's about getting the Renegades where they need to be. We don't give a shit about who we play. We're going to focus on us until that week 1. And whoever it ends up being, that's who we're going to play.
Give your balls a tug. Moving on to the Snow Tribe. Week 1 against the Renegades. Week 2 against the Charge. Week 3 against the Buzz, then the Animals, then against the Renegades again. BIC in week 6 and the Renegades in week 7. To be honest, guys, the Snow Tribe have what might be the best schedule for the Snow Tribe. They don't have the Patterson U. They do not have the Watchmen.
Ridiculous. Yeah, the Snow Tribe have a cakewalk. If the Snow Tribe are able to get past the Renegades 3 times, just lose to BIC, and they got the Buzz, right?
Yeah, the Buzz and the Charge.
Just lose to BIC and the Buzz. They're for 2, and they're walking into playoffs very comfortable with the heightened sense of confidence being that
the way
this
they
is a winning
schedule
season for
shake
them.
out, and we'll get into the Animals, the BIC, and the U in a
It's just
second.
ugly.
We might see a situation where the BIC or the U could be the 5 seed.
No, they're
it's not a surprise.
In a worst case scenario, because last year we saw all 3
Target
of
acquired.
the 3 we had the 3 Spider-Mans looking at each other and they all shot each other. So like this could be a thing, but
So Snow Tribe of the top 3, they only play BIC?
they play the BIC and
And the Buzz.
and the Buzz that of the top
Well,
4.
and listen, we'll get to the Buzz. We'll get to the Buzz, but let's be clear. I mean, if the Buzz are the Gators, That's not a.
That's
not
not
a,
no.
a
We're
buzz.
saying that's not an easy.
We're saying
Yeah.
we're saying they'll lose 2 games.
Best
Those
case
2
scenario.
games.
Their best case
Listen,
scenario is 5-2.
I want to see what the Nova Charge is all about. I want to see what that logo is. I want to know where Nova is. Is it
Northern
like Nova
Virginia.
from Marva?
It's
Nova stands for
I
Northern
got you,
Virginia.
I got
Yeah,
you. Okay. That's cool.
somebody
Though.
put me on too. That's super cool.
but
That is actually pretty
That's
cool.
really dope.
I was gonna make a Marvel reference, the Nova.
Yeah,
Corps.
yeah.
Let's marvel at the Silk City Animals who look to sling some web in
Boo.
the 2024.
Boo.
Are you booing me or are you booing them?
I'm booing the Silk City Animals. Boo.
Why are you booing them? For what? What did they do to you?
No,
Anyway,
I'm tired of hearing.
No, you're gonna feel bad for them in a second.
Oh no, I'm not. I'm gonna be happy. I'm gonna rejoice.
Week 1.
Rob Savage.
Week
today.
1 against the BIC.
Yup.
Week 2 against
0-1.
the U.
0-2.
Week 3 against the Renegades.
0-4.
Week 4 against the Snow Tribe.
0-5.
Week 5 against the BIC.
0-6.
twice?
Week
BIC
6.
twice.
Oh, it gets
Oh, no.
worse, bro. Week 6 to you.
You twice.
Okay,
And
no,
week
that's not funny
7.
anymore.
Week 7 is the Watchmen.
Oh, that's
man.
not
Yo,
funny
listen.
anymore. No, that's not
Yeah,
funny
that's
anymore.
that. Yo,
I was just joking.
You
I was
can't
just
boo
joking.
them anymore.
No, I can't boo them. No, that's crazy. No, that's crazy. Hey, Santista Bond, you got to go talk to somebody, bro.
Yo,
There's no way. There's no way y'all
Listen,
prove this
I
shit.
just found out that the guy
Damn.
that I recruited from the Animals, actually made the decision that he wanted to go back to the Animals. I'm not going to say who the
Shit.
player is.
Go have fun,
I'm
kid.
going to give him a call once the schedule drops. I think he might come back.
Be like, hey, bro, it's a lot easier on this side. You won't, yeah,
Oh,
come through.
fuck, that broke
Listen,
me.
Come
these
on
games.
home.
Oh, fuck.
Listen, these games are going to be televised.
Holy
Listen,
shit,
Some of these
bro.
are games of the
Listen.
week. Oh, this
Be like,
is
bro,
gonna be so
somebody's
fucking
watching
fun.
this. Be like, bro, people are watching it. Nah, that's not fair. That schedule's no. I'm not even trying to be funny no more, bro. All jokes aside,
Yo.
that's a brutal schedule, bro.
Who
That's rough.
did they piss off?
Yo,
What?
did y'all think Huff was still coming back? Damn, bro,
What?
that's not even cool for Huff coming back. What the fuck?
Haven't
Nah.
the Animals suffered enough?
Nah, yeah, that's crazy. I don't want to joke on them no more. What's the
Listen,
point?
I am thankful that is not the listen. I just gave the
Damn.
whole politically correct quarterback thing. I will thank God tonight that is not my schedule. Oh my
Holy
God.
shit, that is brutal. They got BIC twice, the U twice, and the Watchmen.
Yo, how about this? How about this?
3 weeks in a row.
What is the
hell fucking
Insomniac?
no.
Listen, we talked about this last pod. Let's just do it right now. What is the Insomniac schedule in that schedule? What is it? BIC, U, Renegade Snow Tribe, Insomniac, BIC, U, and then who's the last game?
The Watchmen.
And then Watchmen. Oh. Rob, what's
No,
essentially
Insomniacs? What's
the Force?
what's
The Insomniacs play the Force, the Hunters, and the Pit Bosses to start the season. They end the season against OTT, Sick-Witted, and the Gold.
Wow.
Yeah, nah, that's crazy, bro.
Listen, wow.
I'm
man,
sorry,
this-
Santista Bond. I'm sorry.
I have nothing to do. I'm not. I
have
have
nothing to do with that shit either. Me neither, bro. I'm with Cory. I don't got nothing to do
Oh
with
my
that shit.
God.
Don't look for me,
If
bro.
I knew somebody who had something to do with this, I would tell that person, yo, that's fucked up.
Yeah, that's fucked up, bro. Nah, that's fucked up. I'm not even trying to be funny, bro. That's abuse. That's literal abuse.
After this
Holy
drops,
shit.
I'm recruiting based off of this 6-minute segment. Oh my goodness.
Yo, I take back the booze, fellas. I love y'all, man. If y'all need somebody to talk to, bro, I'm here for y'all. I'm not even joking, because that's abuse. That's not a fair schedule for anyone. The fuck? Ugh.
Listen, as great as the Insomniacs are, and I said last week that in 2023 they might go undefeated in the Northeast. You don't go undefeated through that schedule. Playing those teams
Not
twice.
that schedule, no. Not that schedule. That schedule's brutal. Fuck
Oh,
no.
I
That
just
schedule's
had
ridiculous.
to inform our entire production team that this conversation has broken me as a person. Oh,
I'm sorry, man.
Oh fuck!
That's
Oh.
all right. Let's
You ever
Let's
laugh?
get past this funeral.
Matt, did you tell the person who had anything to do with this to go fuck themselves? No, by the way, because
Not because of this.
all right. Anyway,
shit. Mr. Santista Bond, you better tell them to go fuck themselves. I can hear him now. Nah, we not
Whoever-
playing this bullshit
we
ass
talked
schedule,
about
yo.
we talked about the they with Sterry Codrington, and I don't mean that. So anybody who is trying to get offended, that's not what that is. If you're clipping this,
Ugh.
whoever they are is brutal today. That is
Yeah,
brutal.
they not
Anyway,
fucking
who's
with
next?
y'all. Damn.
Beat the fucking shit out of these teams.
Damn.
Well, for the U, it doesn't start that easy to begin with.
It's not as bad as the Animals, is it? At least they don't play the U twice. Go
No,
ahead.
but they do
Let's
play
see.
somebody twice. Hold on, I gotta be a good
That's
host again.
that's for the fans.
Oh.
That's what everybody wants to see,
Oh,
bro.
fuck. Give me a... All right. Now it's time for the Patterson U. There we go. I am myself again. The Watchmen in Week 1 for the Patterson U. Then the Animals, and they play the BIC for the first of 2 times this season.
Oh, shit.
And then
That's fun, though.
Week 3, the BIC, Week 4 against the Renegades, Week 5 against the Buzz, and then Week 6 against the Animals, Week 7 against the BIC. That's right. The BIC and the U end the regular season.
Damn.
That's
okay,
fun, though.
okay. I'll say one thing. I think if this schedule were to remain the way it is, there's a slight understanding as to why some of these teams are playing each other more than once.
Yeah.
What the issue we ran into last year was the 3-headed issue where Watchmen beat the U beat
Yeah,
BIC,
boom, boom,
BIC
boom. Yep.
beat Watchmen.
Yep.
There's no way that scenario happens again with a schedule like this. It just doesn't happen.
I don't.
There's like guaranteed
I don't
wins.
hate it.
But what
I
we
hate
talked
it,
about
but
some of the schedules that
it's,
teams have that are a little bit on the nicer side. What happens to a team like BIC or the U? Because I'm not going to say this early. Mark Bagwell was a playoff guy. How those shake out, but that there could be a situation where it's not based on record. It might not even be based on actual talent level and ability to win games. And I don't know if this is the way it's going to break out. And I don't want to, kind of put it out there what teams are hypothetically in this position. But if a team loses twice to a team that they play twice,
yes, they're done.
And they end up with 2 losses compared to a team that has 1 loss, not they're done. There's 6 spots, so they're fine. They make the playoffs.
Barely.
But it'll be interesting where these teams shake out. And I think and the U play they play the Watchmen, BIC twice, and the Buzz, right?
Yeah.
That's rough. That's a tough schedule.
That's not as bad as the Animals, but that's
because the Animals
that's a big boy
are
schedule.
Yeah.
If a team won a championship playing that schedule, we would have no question about their
there's super respect for them. Yeah.
I wonder what team
needed.
would want a schedule like that. Do you want a schedule like that?
The U does. The U does.
Yeah.
The U wants a schedule like that.
So does BSC.
Well,
the U does.
I would argue the Insomniacs would want that. I don't think that they said they don't want that.
And
they just haven't had it.
And as we near the 2-hour mark of this show, we need to go through the final schedule, the BIC schedule. They open up against the Animals, Week 2 against the Renegades, Week 3 against the U, Week 4 against the Watchmen, Week 5 against the Animals, then the Snow Tribe, and then they round things out against the U.
Much easier schedule than
I heard you talking, Matt. I'm still thinking about the Animals.
Yeah, that's a way easier schedule than the U, and they don't face the Buzz.
Is it though? They play the U and the Watchmen in back-to-back weeks.
Yeah, but the Watchmen are not going to be the Watchmen of old. They're going to be like.
So by week 4, they'll be tenderized by the schedule, but wouldn't the BIC be the same?
No, because BIC has a much easier start. No?
Well, they have the Animals and the Renegades, but then they have the U that week immediately after, and then they have the Watchmen the game after that.
I mean, it's only 6 weeks, so they do start off with 2 comfortable games that they can easily win the Animals game. Depending on Cory's recruitment process, the Renegades could be a competitive game, but I can see BIC winning that game as well up until they have to face their first challenge. You want to get two games in before you play a comp team. That's how I would be comfortable. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Just to get some guys acclimated.
See, you just heard Rob. He goes with whatever the schedule is. He plays it because earlier in the show he said it's okay to start with your toughest games, and then he just said it's good to start with not your toughest games.
No, so with the better teams, like a team like BIC.
I'm just joking.
Yeah, in a long haul season, like if it's 8 games, I would rather. By your 3rd game, you won a tough game. You can't go 3 games without that.
And the way the buys are staggered this year, let's go through our games of the week schedule because that will inform everybody of when and where our games are going to be. We start off the season, I said 4 o'clock earlier. I was wrong. 1 o'clock will be the Watchmen versus the U. That is our opening game for games of the week. 4 o'clock,
Nice.
a young rapscallion named Cory Hammond will be behind center, as it'll be the Snow Tribe against the Renegades.
Very interesting game.
And then our 7 o'clock game will be the Force and the Insomniacs. And we'll have an East Coast game
Force
going on
Insomniacs.
at that time as well. That'll be the Animals at the BIC.
Oh, that's why we're forcing us.
Yeah. Week 2, it'll be the Renegades taking on the BIC. We might be calling that BIC game, by the way. We might do the split screen this year. So
Right.
looks like. 1 o'clock will be Renegades at the BIC, the Animals taking on the U, and then Sick-Witted at OTT. The 7 o'clock game in the East would
Rematch of the 92-36 marathon, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's see
Don't
what
do that.
G-Herd can do to shorten that point differential.
And the East Coast game that night would be the Charge taking on the Snow Tribe in New Jersey. In week 3,
Interesting.
Animals and Renegades are 1 o'clock game. BICU at 4 o'clock. And then Pit Bosses and Insomniacs at 7. Buzz at Snow Tribe would be the 7 o'clock game.
Interesting.
So
Interesting.
we have some great options this year for our 7
Wait,
o'clock
Snow
game.
Tribe got that schedule, and they get both Maryland, Virginia games in Asbury at night?
The U take on the Renegades in week 4. The Watchmen take on the BIC at 4 o'clock. In the 7 o'clock game, the OTT and the Force. The 7 o'clock game that night for the East Coast will be Snow Tribe and the Animals. Week 5, it's Buzz and the U, BIC and the Animals, the OTT against the Insomniacs, and we will also have Snow Tribe against the Renegades as a backup game. Snow Tribe at BIC in week 6. And also, we are on from April 7th to May 5th.
Oh, I don't drink anyway.
We are on the air on Cinco de Mayo, gentlemen.
See.
Oh,
Yes. Well,
Cinco de
Sangria
Mayo.
Bobby may make an appearance. But on Cinco de Mayo, we get the party going with Snow Tribe and
Oh, there we
BIC,
go.
Animals
There's
and
it.
U, and then Insomniacs and Sick. The East Coast game is Charge and Renegades. We take off May 12th. We're back May 19th. Happy birthday to my best friend, Stephanie Sotilli, on that day.
Damn.
Watchmen at the
Ooh.
Animals, the BIC and the U, and then Sick-Witted at Kryptonite. The 7 o'clock game is
Not
the
bad.
Snow Tribe and the Renegades. So one of those Snow Tribe Renegades games. And that is how we end the season. So we've gone through the regular season, and next week we'll go through the playoffs, how they're presently constructed.
That was
Guys,
a
we
show we just
talked
did,
a
guys.
lot.
That's a
I'm
great
very
show.
tired.
It's a long show. That show had more content than I think any
Fuck.
show that I've seen A7FL wise
Hell of a
ever,
show.
maybe, except for some of ours.
It's a lot going on, man.
No, this was probably the most jam-packed show we've ever done.
It
A whole lot of.
A7FL.
Remember we talked about the buzz that was going in, not the DC buzz, but remember we talked about the buzz going into last season and how everything seemed to be moving at such a frenetic pace. It was crazy. Does it not feel like it's twice as frenetic this year? It's crazy.
Yeah, it does. I can't lie.
A7FL
Definitely
10th
does.
season, baby. Buckle up, Buttercup.
Well, guys, strap in, kids. I'm going to order food at midnight because I'm a disgusting human being. But for Big Rob, Fabian, and Cory
Oh,
Hammond,
God.
we'll be back
Oh,
next week,
God.
probably. We gave you like 4 episodes in one.
And
we're very
for those who want to talk to us, we love to hear
But
from
if
our
there
fans
is
and
news-
haters
No, we
alike.
don't.
So check out the voice call line, which I'm going to throw to Matt because he's better at doing those types of things.
You can call 516-387-2735. That's 516-387-A7FL. And you can do that, or you can follow us right now on Facebook. You search 3-on-1 Podcast, and also you can find us now on Instagram. You know how we know? I know we're on Instagram. Big Rob follows us, so you should too. Shout out to everybody following us on Instagram. You can follow us at 3-on-1. That's the number 3.
Also, shout out to people who don't
the
have
number
Instagram.
1
Shout outs to you.
A7FL on Instagram.
I just don't have it. I don't know if I like it or not. I don't know if I like it or not. I just don't have it.
I know. But But for Cory Hammond, for Big Rob Fabien, I'm Matt Ryan saying thank you as always. Be sure to follow us. Go to tinyurl.com/A7FL merch. Sorry if we're salty, but we try to be so sweet. For Big Rob,
That's right.
Cory, I'm Matt Ryan saying as always, don't be an asshole.